The petty woke herd call themselves activists, yet are, by definition, anything but. As a former revolutionary who spent a decade and a half working with various movements, I know that activism requires risk. I have lived it. During those years of my life, we faced the looming threat of arrest, prison time, house raids, surveillance, altercations with riot police that entailed brutal assault, rubber bullets, broken bones, stitches, and even hospitalizations. In the 60s, Black Panthers were assassinated. The Move was bombed by police in 1986. Leonard Peltier was framed for murdering an FBI agent and still rots in federal prison. Activism back then involved the sacrifice of your reputation before loved ones, included acceptance of substandard living conditions and extreme poverty. It meant living with a false name and being perpetually on the outside of society. Today's activists don't risk or sacrifice shit. Indeed, activism is, if anything, the safest thing most Americans can do, and will gain you popularity. It's only opposing activism that is dangerous. Death threats, Antifa attacks, unemployment, and deplatforming are only a few rewards for that. These tyrants have the media, college campuses, corporations, big tech, police, Hollywood, celebrities, the FBI, and the entire Democratic Party on their side. There is no such thing as a social justice warrior. A warrior lays his life on the line. These people are merely riding the wave of self-congratulatory popularity. When you speak truth to power, you are a threat. And when you are a threat, the riot police roll in and fuck you up. During the Watts riots of 1965, people died. The National Guard rolled tanks down city streets. But during the BLM and Antifa riots of 2020, the police didn't even bother to respond, and the Democratic Party cheered it on. They burned cities, and Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, denies that Antifa is anything but an ideology. That's the proof that this, if anything, is activism driven from above. The woke lunatics don't even realize they are being directed by the very powers they claim to be fighting against, and are used to attack the civil liberties of all Americans. LGBTQ is the spearhead of an attack on free speech, freedom of religion, and childhood innocence. Trans activism is about the destruction of women's biological rights, parental rights, and an attempt to undermine the objectivity of the sciences, thought control, compelling speech, population control through voluntary eugenics, and control over the very perceptions of external reality. Feminism aims to turn females into wage slaves, convince them to become willing sex objects, weaken the men who would otherwise threaten the agenda, and destroy the family to place the raising of our children firmly into the hands of the state. CRT is the means to divide us by race, create enough racial tension to make such divisions permanent, destroy any chance for Americans to unite against that agenda, and create a common enemy to cast blame upon: white people. This is how genocide is built. The woke mob serves as did Mussolini's black shirts or Hitler's SA, citizens with enough rage to target, intimidate, threaten, and assault the opposition into cowed silence. When activism comes without risk, it means the injustice you seek to redress does not exist. It means you're not a threat. If you were, believe me, you'd see what happens when you speak truth to power. This so-called activism is controlled by the most powerful people in the Western world and is directed from above to create a neo-Marxist regime, dissolve national borders, attack food production, and institute total despotism. Humanity utterly dependent upon an authoritarian state and wholly without choice. These so-called activists are merely useful pawns, confusing themselves with the hand that moves them. Both this activism and these activists are all part of the plan. They believe that America is an oppressive state? Wait and see exactly what replaces it. No, these petty tyrants, these bigoted activists are not speaking truth to power. They are power's true voice.